Welcome to the 41st meeting of the Honolulu Liquor Commission. Please turn your cell phones completely off. When addressing the commission, please remember to state and spell your name clearly and speak into the microphone. To begin with, I see we have some minutes to approve. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the minutes.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the 30th and 35th. The regular and executive session meeting minutes for the 30th and 35th meeting as previously circulated. Any objections? Any with reservations? The chair also votes aye. The meeting's minutes are approved. Going into other business, number one, calling agenda item number one, request number 24-02189 from Straits Hawaii LLC.
Good afternoon, with a record respect, Wayne Lucas, counsel for the applicant and the requester. You have my letter, there's nothing to add to the letter. The only thing I can say is we missed we could have made it on time, but then the commission is not meeting on the week before. And then we're just finding out, normally, you take 8 weeks to get a preliminary hearing, but you can get a 7-week, but we're finding out that I don't think the 7-week is available anymore because of the problems with the newspaper. So. And we're just asking for additional days that we did not use at the beginning when we first got the license.
Any comments, commissioners? Thank you, go ahead. Okay, so Mr. Liu, yes, I think we have taken numerous positions in regards to these types of situations.
Sure.
Where if you have a first temporary standalone license and that ends, and then you take a second, right? That once it's already started the second and you're into it, we have taken the position in the past not to reallocate unused days in that first temp because you've not surpassed, but it's ended and we allowed the second one to already start.
If I was aware of that, because as you know, this is you just started this reallocation. The first one I had, I guess, in December, and we wasn't aware of that. Because then what we could do, there's ways to stop it at the beginning, that we don't pick up the license. You see, right now when your first temp is granted, there's a 7-day rule that you have to pick it up within 7 days. Like if I was familiar with this at that particular, when we got the first temp, if I was familiar with this, we'd hold picking up the license within that 7-day period, and would be asking the commission, or sending a letter to the commission to ask for to allow us to pick it up at a later date. I mean, now that the situation has occurred, I know what to do. I have a hearing with this Mililani place. I held up, you have to pick it up in 7 days. I held it up for about 1 month, before I picked up the license. Mm-hmm. So all I'm saying is, if this was part of the position, it's something that I could have done at the beginning. Rather than just pick up they say you have 7 days to pick up your license, a temporary license pursuant to the rules, which is a rule. And that is the problem I'm having.
Okay. And so I will.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I was going to state was that I know your first temp ended on February 21st, 2024. And I don't know exact dates, but I think we were already taking that type of position on those temporary license before your February 21st date hit. And if you would have came on February 21st or 22nd, when you asked to get your second temporary and asked to reallocate those days before your second temporary started, we would be open to something like that. But
I don't think it was there at that point. you know, if you remember, that's the date when my only reallocation was at liquor store. Which was, you know, was done the big friendly store, which was done in February. So I didn't, you know, realize what the position was.
We did rule with other cases that you did not represent that way.
I understand, but I'm just saying that, you know, how like, you know, ways that I could have done it. You know, and, you know, there's time, you know, to, you know, now I guess the position is, once we get a temporary, once we temporary license expires, we're gonna have to do all this, we'll have to do, you know, just add something else to do, to add days, you know. As an automatic, you know, for days that we didn't use at that point. I mean, you know, that's something that
In anticipation.
we'll have to do now, but as I said, if I'm aware of it, you know,
Yeah.
that could have been done,
I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
The hard
And-
part is we ruled on this
Well,
for at least 3 to 4 other cases this way, and we feel that changing the course on the decision for this case, you know, not fair to the others where we ruled the other way.
well, at least I know, you know, what it is, but, you know, this is something that has to come out, you know. Like, we've not, you know, if we don't get it, you know, I knew that was the situation. That's another thing I'd add to my to do calendar.
Sure.
You know, so automatically, you're gonna have, you know, automatically, I'm gonna have every second temp we do, we're gonna ask for days. You know, that's another thing we're gonna add on. Okay, no, I understand what you're saying.
So, I'll leave it open, for the commissioners to, make a motion or comments.
Yeah, I would make a motion to deny the request based on our previous history of operating on once a first temporary license has closed, we're not able to modify the dates that have been used for that reason.
Second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to deny the request. Any objections or any with reservations? The chair also votes in support of denying the request. The request is denied. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could just interject, would you be willing to take agenda item number 3 out of order? Because I do anticipate we'll be spending some time on number 2, and this is just a status report for the Pacific Club pertaining to the take service at the tournament, and I think it can be disposed of relatively quickly, and enforcement is ready to report on whether there are any issues.
Okay. Next question is, there's no action, right, that needs to be taken on 3 either way, right? It's just a report, right?
Just a report.
Okay, so we are going to go out of order and call agenda item number 3, which is for the commission to review the operations during the spring tournament for the Pacific Club.
Hello.
Amy Dempsey with the Pacific Club. So we just concluded our spring tournament. Self-service kegs at the courts was not an issue. So we request to proceed with the other block of dates from September 23rd to October 6th for the
Well,
fall tournament.
Okay, was there any from enforcement that wanted to make a report or provide us with information?
Hello. Glenn Ishigata, LCI on the enforcement section. No complaints, no warnings or violations of this.
Just so I know, could you tell how many attendees were there at the event?
There are 80 players.
So there's no action that needs to be taken. It's already been approved. We just wanted to hear what would happen so that we understand. Because I think you did this last year and you'll probably want to do it again in your next
Yep.
year's tournaments. So we just want to make sure everything is going fine.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. we will go back onto the agenda and we'll be calling agenda item number 2, request number 24-02196 from Jason Hayes, President on behalf of Oahu Drink Inc.
My name is Jason Hayes, President of Oahu Drinks. And I've recently submitted a application. I think you've seen it. I spoke to or communicated via email with investigator Sato. And he gave me a rejection reason being that there were multiple licenses on the premise. And I felt that I just wanted to hear a second opinion because I had previously done business in this location under the name Underground Wine Merchants from the year 2014 through 2020. We shut down due to basically COVID. Most of our customers were on premise and there wasn't a lot of reasons for us to be around. You know, now that the economy and everything is recovered, I'd like to restart under a different name. I think, you know, during the time that we operated, you know, we service primarily, you know, smaller boutique retailers and restaurateurs, without which, you know, many of the products that we bring to market wouldn't be represented by, you know, the larger suppliers, you know, all, you know, big mainland companies. They're not interested in that. And I think we really provide that service to, you know, bottle shops of the world and boutique restaurants and wine bars. And I just wanted to I wanted to come and see what I can do to remedy the situation. I feel that, or if the law is somehow changed, that would no longer allow us to do business in that manner out of the foreign trade zone. And what I can do to move forward, because I would really like to be a beer, wine, and liquor wholesaler again.
From what we understand, the operator there has changed the way that inventory is controlled and managed and not in separate facilities for you versus others who may store merchandise. Do you know if that is the case?
Well, I guess, you know, to put your minds at ease with when it comes to the security and intermingling of inventory within the zone, no tenant within the foreign trade zone has direct access to their inventory at any time. You must first go in, you know, when the inventory arrives, it's put into the inventory system of the foreign trade zone. This is the same bonded warehouse where the customs keep product that hasn't been yet gone through customs. And basically just the security of the place, you know, there's a gate on the outside with the security officer. The inventory goes into their inventory system. In order to access it, you have to then put a specific request into their system. Their employee will then pull the product out for you, where, you know, when you pick it up, it's all supervised by not only the employee, but a security guard. And then on the way out, you have to give them paperwork to make sure that that you're the right person to be getting it. There's really no way for me to go into, or any other tenant for that matter, to go in and say that even to enter the foreign trade zone is almost impossible. So there's really no way for anybody to go in and say, hey, I want some of Jason's beer, or I'm going to secretly get some of Jason's beer, because they have total control of the inventory within the zone.
Right. Yeah, make it possible to ask questions of the investigator.
Yes, we can.
Supervisor Investigator Daniel Sato.
Mr. Sato. So could you explain, I'm under the assumption that other wholesalers sell liquor in these establishments. Is that true or false? Is it in the foreign trade zone? Are there any other licensees wholesale?
Yeah, to answer that question, it became an issue back in when we first discovered it. There was multiple licensees at that one location of 521 on one of Boulevard, which is the FTZ 9. When we realized that that came up for another license application, we noticed that it was an overlay for like multiple licenses. And when we looked into it further, we did realize that the security was, as how he described it, Mr. Hayes has described it, which is under the jurisdiction of US Customs. And it's really it's restrictive in a way. That being said, there is no, as far as talking with the administrator of the FTZ, there's no way for somebody to do business inside the foreign trade zone. So that kind of led to a lot of issues, and our question was sent up to administration at that time.
And are there still other licensees that have an overlapping premise?
Yes,
You know how many?
I believe at right now is probably 3.
All operating on a wholesale license.
Yes, within the FTZ.
So it begs the question how we would deal with those 3 as well.
Could we go into executive?
Commission may go into an executive session for the following reasons: to consult with the board's attorneys on questions and issues on a matter pertaining to board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. I'll entertain a motion to go into an executive session for this purpose.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. We are now in executive session. Okay, thank you. We are back in session. And a recap of our executive session. No votes were taken, but we did have a discussion in regards to procedures and rules in regards to the fair trade zone. So we are gonna have some discussion, so
Right, so just so you know, the rules of the Liquor Commission and the laws statewide do not allow us to currently approve this type of request. However, we are going to explore how we can make some accommodation now that the FTC has changed their rules. So we advise you to check back in with us in about 30 days. So that, to see whether or not we've been able to move forward with an accommodation around the new FTC inventory control system. In the meantime, feel free to start preparing an application. But just know that if you,
My application's been submitted.
okay, well then, okay, fine, so then you're in a good place there. I just didn't want you to have to submit an application and pay money if we didn't have the accommodation, but since you're already there. So we're not gonna take any action at this time. But we have some administrative work to do to see whether or not we can accommodate something for this.
Okay. You have my contact if you need any
Yeah.
assistance on my part.
We do. Just check back with us in a month, you know, and as you know, there are other licensees that will be affected by the rules as they are. So when they come up for a renewal, we're gonna run into the same problem. So we want to make sure that we can find a way to work around this.
And Mr. Hayes, we recognize a unique situation here and we're looking for a way to be supportive and help. So
I
you
appreciate
just gotta
it.
give us some time to be able to do that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Anything else?
I think we do need to make a motion though to take
Yes.
it under.
Yes, I make a motion to take under advisement the request
Number,
the request to consider the proposed location and rejection of the wholesale license application.
second,
It's been moved and seconded to take it under consideration for agenda item number 2. Hold on, sorry, lost my paperwork.
number,
Addenda item number 2, request number 24-02196. Any with objections or reservations? The chair also votes aye. We will take the request under consideration.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Commissioners, I need a motion for adoption of decision in order for agenda items 4 through 5.
make a motion for the adopt. Make a motion to approve the adoption of decisions and orders for agenda items number 4 and 5.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for the adoption of decision and order for agenda items number 4 and 5. Any objections or reservations? Seeing none, the chair also votes aye. Adoption of decision and order for agenda items 4 and 5 has passed. Moving to other business, number 6, Liquor Commission, discussion of procedures and processes and procedures outlined in the agenda. I think my best understanding is currently we have nothing more to add for this agenda item,
Correct, if we could keep this on the agenda for next week.
but we would like to
It's a
continue to move
standing
it to.
agenda item, so it'll be left on.
Thank you. Moving to continue on to other business, number 7, Liquor Commission Administrative Matters. FYI 2023-2024 Mission of Performance and Salary Review, as well as FYI 24 and 25 Administrative Performance Goals and Target Processes for Evaluation. I'm going to read the executive session portion just because listed there pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Section 92-4 and subsection 92-4-A4 to consult with its attorneys on questions and issues on a matter pertaining to board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities, and to consider the higher evaluation, dismissal, or disposal. Discipline of an officer or employee where consideration of matters of the personal matters may be involved. I don't know if we want to go into any type of an executive session or if we would rather keep this agenda item until all 4 of the commissioners are here, but I'm open to a motion. Do you want to give your thing? Then.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
It's so moved, right?
So moved.
Second.
We would then secondly go into an executive session. The chair also votes aye. We are now in executive session. Okay, thank you. We are back from executive session. And a short summary of executive session, no votes were taken, but we did have a discussion in regards to the processes and procedures in regards to the administration's performance and evaluation. Beyond that, we will now move to
Can I
agenda.
ask just one thing? Do you want to, this agenda? item
Yes,
to-
I'm sorry. We would like to have this agenda item moved to the next meeting as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sorry. Okay, we will now move to agenda item number 8, liquor administrator matters.
South Kilos Administrator, Honolulu Liquor Commission. A couple of items for you. We are expecting Hawaiian Airlines to be on the agenda next week. As you know, there's a quorum issue because of conflicts of interest. And the letter to the mayor's letter to the city council advising them of the situation was forwarded today. And the individual who will be taking the position as a temporarily assigned commissioner is former chair Seth Buckley. I hope Commissioner Hollinger and Commissioner Sakamoto can be here next week.
Yes. I will.
Yeah, I'll be here.
That said, if anything happens, there's also possibly moving the item to the 23rd, and I also have somebody else lined up for that to serve as a temporary.
confirm for next
commission.
Yeah, I don't have anything that I know of, but if it were to come up, I'll make sure it gets moved.
We updated our website, and from a personal perspective, it's a lot easier to navigate than the other one, the last one, and a little bit more pleasing to the at least the opening pages. Also, I think we've been very concerned about recruiting contract employees for licensing to help out with the backlog. And I just wanted to let you know that the 2 individuals that we provide a conditional offer to are in the process of the suitability in the process of going through suitability. Hopefully, according to our acting ASO, they have been very diligent about providing the forms to us, and hopefully they'll go through the process rather quickly. In terms of the suitability process, delays are typically generated, typically a result of candidates not handing the required information or required forms in a timely manner. And it seems as though with these particular individuals, they're acting in a timely manner. So hopefully that can be done soon, and there will be additional staff to deal with the backlog and licensing. Okay, so I think it's one of those things where you squeeze the balloon and one end pops up. And so I also want to let you know that we are in the process of recruiting several individuals on the administrative side. Last month, Kelly Taruya, records management clerk, resigned her position, and so we're recruiting for that now. We put the necessary paperwork through to go through the approval process. We're also recruiting a training assistant. That particular individual we allowed to stay on extended leave just because he was really well thought of, and we thought that after a certain amount of time he would come back, but he decided not to come back. Additionally, we are also in the process of setting up the panel to interview the chief investigator. And I'm hoping that can be done soon. And I think that we have a good candidate for it, for the position, and hopefully we're trying to maintain the same panel that's gone through the process. Yeah, so hopefully that goes through. And I guess we are also be recruiting for an administrative services officer. Akiko will be leaving the agency. Yeah, she's going to the Board of Water Support.
Board of Water.
So those are the things in terms of the administrative services section that we're trying to. do. That said, I think Akiko has indicated that she has extreme confidence in the people that we have now to be able to handle the upcoming budget closing as well as budget for next fiscal year.
She has a secret sauce on the formula of the budget, right?
Well,
On how it was described to us.
hopefully the recipe is not so secret.
It is shared.
Okay, it
It
is.
is shared,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Uh,
The way I learned it was kind of like, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, that's where we are in terms of personnel, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any comment on the backlog, the applications,
Yeah, so,
positive movement over the past week?
so we've been looking at the backlog. We've discussed some processes whereby I think we're gonna consolidate certain things, and maybe that way, because, you know, there are multiple applications in the system that deal with the same applicant. If we chew those up, that'll probably result in a reduction in reduction number of days. And also, we're talking about what process, the processes that we will have moving forward when we do true it up and say, hey, say, for example, if somebody still, somebody submitted something 3 years ago, and then there's a new application now, and that's an extreme example.
Yeah.
But if it's with regard to officers and so on, if the list that they provide doesn't include that individual that was 3 years ago, does it make sense to say, hey, we need to go through that again and check that? So hopefully that will help. And also we're still going through the process of trying to see what we can do to streamline the process, the investigative process itself.
How many more resources or bodies do you think we would need to really make a significant dent into bringing down the timeline of applications? Going on the assumption that these folks are trained and can perform the functions.
I think what we're able to do now is to try to provide resources in the short term. For example, both Glenn and Jade are spending overtime to assist in dealing with some of the requests that we have a backlog on. Again, hopefully with the two licensing techs that are coming on board, there'll be additional, again, more hours spent on those, so that they have to go through training and so on. But at the very least, there'll be more hours available to deal with the backlog. Long term as well, in terms of the reorganization, if that all goes through, there'll be 2 permanent employee positions placed with licensing. At least in terms of the organizational structure, that's what we have. Again, do we need to do more in terms of making the process efficient? That's something that we're looking at as well.
Yeah, I guess the genesis of my question on the contracted employees for licensing, which I think is great. You said 2?
2, yeah.
2. I mean, given that they have to go through the training, and I'm sure the training resources are probably similar if you have 2 people or you have 8 people, or at a certain point you could bundle them in a group. And so if we could do more at one time, it'll be a greater impact.
I think in terms of training, that'll be up to Daniel as to what training they go through. But that said, just having additional hours of man hours available will be helpful. Again, it's not, on one end that's helpful, but also I think on the other end, if we make the process a little bit more efficient, that will be helpful as well.
So yeah, I mean, sorry, just to clarify, it's like if you have 2 people and it takes 10 hours to train them, And so you're applying those 10 hours to 2 people versus you can apply those same 10 hours if you brought more people in at the same time.
Mm. Right.
And, right. Again, that's what I was
But,
thinking.
but just understand as well that there are constraints. In effect, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Because we are basically saying we're taking 3.5 for LCI ones and essentially saying we're gonna reallocate that to be able to fill these positions.
Okay. Thanks.
So there's a limit to what.
Yeah,
what we
yeah,
can
yeah,
do.
yeah. Thanks. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tios, moving to agenda item number 9, Liquor Commission announcements, any announcements? And we'll remain that to stay on the agenda as well. With that,